is. See. Here, this going. I have to cool things down a bit in here. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Welcome to Toddles Hardcore Media. Bringing everybody this video, live stream, etc. I want to do this from ex-mafioso Sammy the Bull Gravano and stuff, because some stuff I didn't go into. The RICO laws, the feds, the FBI made it. Along with New York district attorneys made RICO especially tailored for mafiosos, the mob and everything, because they wanted to get everybody in the organization to have, underlings in the mafia, just the soldiers, and underlings of the crime boss and stuff like that, to testify on the mob bosses. And the RICO laws would have, the underlings pretty much go against their bosses, and they'd go after them that way. They'd totally dismantle the mob and everything. But I know some stuff about working with public relations, celebrities, stuff like that. I know quite a bit about that and stuff, but I wanted to get this from Sammy the Bull Gravano, Salvatore, Sammy the Bull. Give him a shout out, give him a like. A lot of what he says and stuff like that. There's different opinions on how people feel about, him talking about this. It might be wrong of him to judge when he's done stuff and everything, but I just wanted to go over this and everything. Hopefully some people will come in, and I just want to get this done. Leave a comment, leave a like.
You can call me Love.
Right. Got me a Lamborghini. And
yeah. Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time. He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than me talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
And Puff, where did that come from?
I can't tell you that. I'm going to take your souls. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, we control what your kids listen to. We control everything.
And I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing.
When he comes to
I bet you do.
This is what happens to the white man. It's so unfortunate. You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy.
There's an old expression in the mafia and in life: what goes around comes around. And I think you're going to experience that.
It does. It does.
You put the drink on his head.
And I say it once, I just say it all over again. If Diddy had been in the mob, if he had been an Italian guy in the mob, he'd be dead. They would have killed him for the stuff. He wouldn't have made it. They don't like stuff like that, the stuff that he did and stuff. So, I mean, in the mob, you kill people, stuff like that. But what he did, all the sexual stuff that he did, the rapes, the sexual assaults, the sex trafficking, the mob doesn't like that kind of thing. So, yeah, they would have killed him off.
Hey guys, welcome back. I talked to you about Diddy before, but things are heating up pretty quick. Rape, assault, kidnapping. It's not just Cassidy. There's a line of people stepping forward.
Yeah.
Anthony Rico.
Yeah, there's from Jaguar, right, and stuff like that. I used to do work on stuff, investigating, Diddy and stuff like that over the years. I did that on another site and everything. I knew that Diddy had some bad evil in him when he got J-Lo mixed up into taking a fall, taking some crimes for him and stuff. Known it for quite a while. There's some bad stuff going on.
Rico, one of Diddy's lawyers, has officially requested to be released from the case. And of course, everybody's initial reaction is he thinks Diddy is guilty. But that is not why he stepped away from the case. Give me a second to break down exactly what's happening here. And if any person is guilty of what Diddy has been accused of, he deserves to be in jail. But as of right now, Diddy still is owed a day in court. Anthony Rico is a decorated lawyer. He won an acquittal for one of the detectives involved in the murder of Sean Bell, a black man. He also represented Osama bin Laden. And I'm not joking. I
don't think anybody represented him. Yeah, there was some. That was for his body, and as for his family, though, it wasn't exactly for Osama bin flatulence. But
he represented him twice. Once for the 1993 bombing of the U.S. Embassy in East Africa and the bombing of the World Trade Center. You're probably thinking, damn, Diddy really wants to win this case. I'm sure he does. And this man has never asked to be removed from a defense counsel ever in his 20-plus year career. So why did he ask to be removed from Diddy? The answer is found in his statement. This is a highly capable and shrewd defense attorney that found the need to say this as his parting shot. Although I have provided Sean Combs with the high level of legal representation expected by the court, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs. This is legal speak for I don't feel that I have been respected as competent and capable on this legal team. Keep in mind, he's not the primary lawyer. Mark Agnifilo is. Anthony Rico was hired to essentially be the spokesperson for Diddy's defense team. He has 5 other lawyers. And although Diddy is very popular, Anthony's used to being the guy on much more serious and weighty cases like Osama bin Laden. What probably happened here is a difference of opinion on the direction of the defense. It's likely the other lawyers disagreed with his approach as well as Diddy, which created friction and caused him to feel he needed to defend his name and reputation as an attorney before this blows up in his face. Plus, he's from Harlem, and if you know anybody from Harlem, you know they're not gonna let you get the last laugh. Ha, Culture Decoded.
I'm not sure what made him back out. Anthony Rico was my lawyer. He represented me, and I believe they're wrong. He didn't represent Osama bin Laden in the bombing of the World Trade Center. At that time, he was representing me. Wasn't true. A different lawyer, a woman, was representing him. So this is bullshit. This whole thing, what this guy said, is bullshit. He's a good guy. He's a competent lawyer. He's a great lawyer. I had him on my case. It was a cold case. I was indicted. The Iceman was a witness against me. Anthony Rico was my lawyer throughout the entire process. Stuck with me. He's an honorable guy. I think he didn't believe in the case with Diddy. It's my opinion. He didn't want this blowing up in his face. Listen, whether you like P-Diidy or not, he did disgusting things. I think he deserves to be in jail. And I think Anthony Rico must have felt the same way. He has kids, he has a family. I think he's just disgusted of what he did and walked away.
I was in the courtroom as Cassie was testifying, so let me tell you guys everything that you didn't see or may have not heard, because it's a lot. I will say the most damning part of her testimony for me is when she describes a freak-off where Diddy and another man, an escort, are standing on top of her while she is laying on the floor high off of ecstasy, and they are urinating on her face to the point where she is choking on their pee. And to further give context, on the right-hand side of the court seated is her husband, Alex Fine. On the left-hand side, Diddy's 6 out of 7 kids are sitting in the courtroom as Cassie is describing having weekly.
Yeah, what trashy. I mean, is what Diddy's mother definitely groomed him, including some people in R&B, you know, 70s music, pioneers in black, you know, music. You know, they groomed him. The sad part is the people that made P-Diidy, the groomers, including his mother and the others in the music industry, black music industry, they're going to get away with the murders, crimes that, you know, that they groomed him for, that they taught him. Diddy's going to get away with that. He's going to get away with it. And that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing, is all these other people are going to get away with it. And it's going to be, you know, Diddy takes the fall for all the others. Diddy deserves to be burned for what he did, but so did the others. Again, you know, being around, you know, sex workers and stuff like that, doing that stuff myself, and how he abused male, female sex workers and other celebrities and people, just and drugging them, just a real piece of shit type of person.
Weekly freak-offs for years that would last 2, 3, one lasted up to 4 days. She talked about damaging hotel rooms so bad in one instance that they had to pay such a hefty fee because the hotel told them that they needed to completely redecorate the room after a freak-off. After a freak-off, there would be blood, urine, and lots of baby oil. There was so much baby oil. There was also so much baby oil talk to the point where the judge at one point told prosecutors, wrap it up. But before we even got there, a very, very pregnant Cassie was called to the stand. She was wearing a tight brown turtleneck dress that was hugging her baby bump. When she sat down, you could tell she was nervous. And if you couldn't, you quickly picked up on it, because once she started talking, you noticed that she paused a lot. She would sigh heavily before she answered a question. One of those moments was when she explained to the court that a year into their relationship, that Diddy had approached her with this fantasy that he had. He called it voyeurism, where he wanted to see her have sex with another man, later referred to as freak-offs. She said her stomach dropped. She was 22 years old. She described herself as very naive and a people pleaser. She said the only reason that she agreed to it is because she knew it would make him happy, and she was afraid what would happen if she said no. That's also around the time, she says, that he started to get abusive. Most of her
I mean, people need to keep in mind with P. Diddy is that he had even law enforcement from different cities, states on his payroll, from LA, Chicago, New York, Florida, and he could track down these girls and guys and stuff like that they felt would be a threat against him. And so he could have them killed or whatever, scare them to death and have them tracked wherever they were. So a lot of, like with her, Cassie, Mia, and others, be scared shitless for their lives makes sense. Just like normal mafia people would do, and other criminal, you know, high criminal organizations or intelligence operatives. They would track them and stuff like that.
Testimony today was spent on talking about these freak-offs, the different escorts that they would use, the different hotels that they would use. She said that she would find escorts off of Craigslist and this escort service called Cowboys for Angels. And to describe them, they weren't the most attractive men, right? They were very average looking. Some of them weren't even conventionally attractive. One thing they had in common is most of them were black because Diddy preferred for her black men with a big D, she said. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears when the prosecutor asked her, why didn't you leave? If the freak-offs, as you explained, were so disgusting and humiliating, why not leave? And she started crying and said that she was very deeply in love and this was the only alone time that she could get with Diddy. And it got to a point where this was kind of the only emotional connection that she was getting from this man that she was dating.
Here's a recap of the worst things Cassie said during her testimony against Diddy. Trigger warning, what she revealed in court is deeply traumatizing. Back in 2014, she claimed that Diddy's mom told him to lie down on the floor, then turned to Cassie and said, watch this, boo. Then she sat on Diddy's face. Cassie added that Janice said this was the only way to shut him up when he was younger by covering his mouth. Cassie talked a lot about Diddy's mother because her alleged involvement in their relationship was a constant presence. Cassie said, one day Janice sat on a couch and watched us while we were doing it. Then she would yell at Sean when she thought he was being too soft with me. Next, Cassie claimed that her song Me and You was actually inspired by Diddy's relationship with his mom. She said, he told me his mom waited until he turned 18 to try out the things she had in mind. If you listen closely, you'll hear it. The worst part was when she talked about trips she took with Diddy. She said, he took me to his father's grave and demanded that we do it right there. He told me his dad would be proud to see him fucking a bad bitch. Cassie also claimed that Diddy had disturbing fantasies involving his twin daughters. Many of those fantasies included Cassie and even their mother, Kim Porter. Cassie reportedly said, that should have been a red flag for me. They were...
And we know Albert Kim Porter probably was murder with her, with Kim Porter and all this. And so it's like, it's disgusting. What Diddy got away with, and they have, stuff with Aaliyah, you have stuff with Tupac and other rappers and other people and everything. There's a trail of destruction with P-Diidy, just like the mob and everything. So...
babies. Honestly, I think he was just scared someone might tell the truth, so he tried to bury all of it.
As a man, as a father, as a grandfather, and a great-grandfather, I can't even imagine what the fuck this is. I don't even know why there's a trial. Listening to this shit is ridiculous. It's outrageous. This guy needs a fucking 38 right in his fucking forehead. No trial. Blow his fucking brains out. He's having sex with his mother. I just can't fathom trying to understand this case or...
The thing is, P. Diddy was a victim himself. He was groomed into this, and the people that did this to him are not going to pay the price for what he's done. And that's the bullshit of this. The music industry and his mother that groomed him to be doing these evil deeds, and then you got P. Diddy's kids that are been doing it to other people, been watching. They, think it's all okay and everything. It's not okay. None of it's okay with that, and how they treat others and sexual abuse and everything.
Understand the complaint. I know later on I'm having an interview with the news media and they're going to be talking about the RICO law. I understand the RICO law. I testified in trials with the RICO law. So I understand the RICO law. Talking about the RICO law is one thing. This here, I've never heard anything like this in my entire life. And I'm involved in murders. I'm involved in the mob. I'm involved in some of the most brutal, horrible crimes you can imagine. I thought, up until I'm listening to this tongue-tied when it comes to listening to this, his daughters, his granddaughter, men, boys, young girls, drugs, freak off. This isn't a freak off. This is, they can call it whatever they want. This is pure.
I mean, like I said, if you're to have freak off, sex orgies, stuff like that, sex parties, that's fine. But they have to all be willing and not be drugged there's a right way to do these things. You never drug people, never. And I've had one woman that I know of in like the past about their still saying, "Hey, I'll come over if I get real drunk." And I'm thinking, like, you ain't gonna come over. I ain't gonna have you come over when you're drunk. Are you kidding? You want them fully aware and stuff, especially if something bad happens and she can say this or that happened. And, man, of course, is going to be tried, even if something happened or not, doesn't matter. And you want a woman that's fully aware of what she's doing. You don't want that woman under the influence. You want a woman to like you for you, not be drunk and totally intoxicated. And the taste of alcohol on a woman when you're doing sexual stuff just doesn't taste good. It just doesn't. The alcohol. It turns me off. It actually makes me physically ill. The alcohol makes me physically ill. Tasting that, because I can actually taste that right now. And everything. So, as I talk about it, I have those memories and stuff like that. It's a bad thing. It's something I don't like. And the pores, like alcohol or drugs or other drugs, hell no. I want a woman to know what she's doing. Same with, doesn't matter, male, female, or whatever. Never use drugs, it's never okay. If both are doing consensually, that's different. But, if you're going to do that, fine, but there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
Pure evil and insanity. I don't know if any of the questions are, is he going to beat this trial? I don't know how he could beat this trial. I don't know how any woman,
I hope he does,
in her right mind could sit on this trial as a juror.
I hope he doesn't, but last I heard from Tisa tales about some of the jurors laughing at Mia because of her PR pictures she did and everything, which I'll get to. It makes sense because you have to do that regardless. You go through bad shit in PR and stuff. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do if you go through a lot of hell with the company. So.
Listen to this. One day after the other, after the other. I'm only listening to it for 10 minutes. I've followed it a little bit, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. I don't even want to listen to it. I've never heard of anything so disgusting in my life. Never. And I thought I've come across serial killers like Roy DeMeo and people gas piping their life. I thought that was brutal, disgusting.
Yeah.
This has got that beat by, I don't know what. Now, I don't like sending people to jail. You can contradict me. I cooperated. I told the truth. I never tried to send people. I don't root for people to go to jail. I root for this motherfucker to go to jail. Worse. And I'll tell you what he's going to be in prison. He is going to be everybody's bitch. I got 22 fucking years in prisons. He's going to freak off. He's going to get fucked so much he'll think his fucking ace exploded. They're all going to bang his fucking brains in, and he warrants that. And I hope another bunch of inmates are watching it while it happens.
As much as anyone can say again, as much as anyone can say he deserves that, he's a victim too. People groomed P-Diidy to this. His mother and other, black artists in the industry before, back in the 70s. I've heard Quincy, Jones and others, that helped him get to where he is and stuff like that. Real, people who think they're real good and everything. And there's other artists, I forgot their names, and I don't want to just try and name different names, but they're to get away with the murder. They're to get away with it. And he's he's, the fall guy. It's the same thing, with Epstein and stuff. How, he got killed and stuff like that. And all these other people, they're not going to face justice or whatever for what happened. Same thing here.
Hey, bro, how does that feel? You want some drugs? I mean, whatever your questions are, ask me. I'm a little disturbed right now. Normally I answer them a lot calmer. I'm not calm right now. It's a shame that young girls across the country are going to listen to this. Even now, somebody just who's listening to me threw up, I think. I don't want to be biased in this. I want to try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I might be a little biased when it comes to him. I don't know how I could give him any kind of benefit of the doubt. Why did the government put in the RICO Act? Why did they just indict him on what he did to each and every person with drugs, kidnapping, child molestation, all of this stuff? He loses hands down. They're charging him with the RICO for this reason. The government is just as disgusting as he is. They are turning around. The RICO is meant to take his money and properties and everything.
Everything.
That's what the fuck they're looking at. That's why they put in RICO. RICO does not belong in this case. They developed the RICO for the mafia, Italian people.
Does, but
to go after the Italian people. And it's a corrupt organization.
I mean, he's got his opinion on that. RICO was created pretty much solely for the mob. And now it's for, you got cartels, you got gangs, that applies where it could go to anybody. As long as it's an organization, is that the titles in the RICO laws can be applied to so many different kinds of people nowadays. Before it was just the mob or the mafia. It's a lot different.
I know what the RICO law stands for. He don't have a corrupt organization. It's him. RICO has a statute like for the mafia. There's a boss, an underboss, a consigliere, captains, maid guys.
Yeah.
This whole organization goes out and commits crimes, murder, and all kinds of crimes. And it's an organization. And it's very easy for people to understand it. Now, it's a very complicated law. It went out after the Italians and the mafia to Hispanic people. I was in prison with Hispanic people, black people, who got hit with the RICO law, didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about. But it was an easier law for them to win cases, number one, and for them to confiscate the money. So to them, part of that thinking with the RICO is about money. Not just to find you guilty. They want to go after you, find you guilty, and then they want to pound their chest. They want his hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, whatever he has. They want that money. And if they lose this case, they've lost it because of their own greed. RICO does not belong in this case as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm not a lawyer.
I think it does.
But like I said, I've been involved in a lot of RICO on both sides of the RICO. So I do know about the RICO. And there's lawyers, talented lawyers, who literally have a hard time figuring this RICO shit out. But mostly it's about money. And it's about a corrupt organization to get everybody in at once. I don't see them getting everybody in. I see them attacking him for the disgusting crimes that he's committed. You don't need a RICO. You just need those crimes.
The thing is with RICO, it has to do with the sex trafficking, the coercion, the blackmail, and the drugging, forced labor of state, by state commerce law, stuff like that. That's where RICO comes in with all these other things, forced labor and stuff, and pretty much some is pretty much like kidnapping is kidnapping as well. So RICO does apply here with all these different laws that are broken. I mean,
Who would sit on a jury, listen to those crimes, what I just listened to, and what I've been listening to, is going to find him innocent of what? No women, no men. We have kids in too. We have husbands, we have wives, we have daughters, we have granddaughters. What guy is going to find him not guilty? But they made the case harder for their greed with the RICO. I don't think it fits. I'm not a lawyer. I wish that lawyers listen to me and react to me and talk to me and tell me what they think about the case. But I don't see it as a RICO case. And I think that if he has any shot of beating this, it's because they put the RICO in it. People won't understand the RICO. They won't buy it the way they're looking at it, the government. They don't give a shit about his money. They care about his crimes. I don't care if he's got 200, 400, or $4 billion. I care about he was pissing in a woman's mouth. He was kissing his mother. He wanted to fuck his daughters. I don't need no RICO to want to put him away.
Well, the thing is with RICO, it can take everything from not only, from bad boy records and stuff like that. It goes after all of his organizations, all these people. And there's going to be more cases after this. There's a lot more men and women, and even Jaguar Wright has talked about this. You have Williams and stuff and everything. This has been out for a long time. Hundreds of people, victims and stuff. And there are dozens more that one lawyer in particular is getting more and more people on. And all these cases are just lying in wait till after to see what happens with this case and everything. So this is just one case among multiples and stuff, and how those are, obviously for civil. I'm sure they'll probably be more criminal if this one doesn't, if he doesn't get life plus for this. There are a lot of other people that could do that. So.
Or to take them out. Mafia-wise, we don't allow that kind of shit.
No,
if
you don't.
If a guy came up with that, we would kill him. When you broke the line and you start killing people for no fucking reason, we killed you. This stuff, you would be dead as a doornail. If it leaked out to us, this has hurt the entire music industry. This has hurt. I have a lot of black friends. This has hurt black people. I know if I was a black man, I would be sick. If he was an Italian guy, I would be sick. I would say, thank God he's not Italian, because it's against all of us. And I think black people feel the same way. Who told me, Sammy, this is fucking, I never even thought of anything like this. Because you can't even imagine the story, because unless you're a half a degenerate, I would never, you could be freaky in certain ways or whatever you want to do, swingers or whatever you want to be. But this isn't freaky. This isn't freak off. I don't know the words.
It's a piss off, pretty much.
It's that brutal.
And I mean, you never use drugs. Me, as been around sex workers and done some stuff myself, I cannot ever imagine trying to give a woman drugs to sedate them or make them drowsy. I'm actually getting physically sick thinking that. I get physically sick. You just never think that. Never, ever. You want, whatever type you're into, man or woman, you want them to like them, you want them to like you for you. If you feel like you need to drug them, there's something really fucked up with your head. It's just totally wrong.
When you walk out of that room, I would ask him if I was a lawyer. When you walked out of the room, you were happy, bro? When you saw some young 22, 23-year-old girl on the fucking floor being pissed on and fucked by 9 guys, did you really get off on that? How did you feel when she wobbled out of the room, couldn't even walk, didn't even know what the fuck happened to her? I don't think anybody on the planet would feel good with doing something like that. And some of the
I mean, consent thing. It's, you drug them, there's no consent. There isn't, I mean, I want a woman, you know, that's into me or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Not that drugs, you know.
Studies with. Yes, some of it's consensual. They should be ashamed of themselves. Those women. They're a disgrace to every woman on the planet. Crying and sitting there pregnant, you should bury your fucking face in shame. And you watched it as well. You should be part of this indictment, Cassie. Not just him. Both of you should go to prison.
Hi, this is Josh Meyer from USA Today here at the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, where we just wrapped testimony for another day of the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. Today we heard from Deontay Nash, who is a stylist.
I mean, to tell you truthfully, a lot of sexual acts, of course. What people do behind closed doors, I don't really, that's them. I don't really care. I don't even want to know. That's not my business, nobody else's, but they always got their opinions on it.
For Sean Combs and for Cassie Ventura Fine from 2008 to 2009, and he spent a couple hours on the stand talking about Sean Combs' propensity for violence, and he said that he saw Sean Combs beating up Cassie Ventura more times than he could count. He saw her with a black eye once, with 2 black eyes another time. Deontay Nash said that he and another Combs employee jumped on Sean Combs' back to try to get him to stop beating Cassie Ventura, but that Combs was so...
Yeah, I mean, I salute Nash, man. Nash, oh my God. Honestly, if I was Garrison, I'd try and hit on that guy, but he's awesome. But anyways, man, I'd say he was a star witness and everything. I mean, he is, you know, the perfect witness that a prosecutor would want to have. And totally rebuff the stupid defense team. Mia, on the other hand, like some people said, she wasn't ready for what was happening, and she now take those attacks and everything, but we'll get into that later on.
In such a rage that he threw them off. He also described keeping $1,000 in cash handy in case Combs was in one of his violent moods and he had to either get a hotel room for himself or for Cassie Ventura. Prosecutors are using all of that to sort of paint a picture of Combs as very controlling, and this is part of the trafficking allegations against him.
Did he? When you go,
I think people need to keep in mind, Cassie is not the only one. There are numerous other victims he did this to. It's just Cassie got pushed to the front before all the others and everything. Like I told me and a lot of others that have been doing this a long time, she's just the tip of the iceberg. And some people are dead. You got Kim Porter. You got, you know, some negligent stuff with P-Diidy and the death of Aaliyah, even though he wasn't, you know, supposedly directly involved or anything. There's just some type of involved. You got Tupac, you got these other rappers as well that meant a violent death and everything. So the cops are not doing their jobs in doing more with what happened with Tupac and some of these other people. And J-Lo and stuff, how, you know, she took the hit. J-Lo took the hit, you know, for Diddy and stuff like that. It's just a total waste.
Prison. See how tough you are. Play your games in prison. They'll knock your fucking face in. Pull shit like this that you did. You had 15 guys behind you against a helpless girl or helpless stylist, probably half gay. Do it in prison. Be a big shot in prison. See what happens. Now, in the prisons I was in, Yadex, Supermax, and places like that, first of all, we wouldn't be able to get at you, but, bro, you'd be fucking washing my clothes for stamps. I'll say, I'm going to give you 4 stamps. Go wash my clothes. Go to the room and go wash my clothes. Or I would tell them, get a fucking broom and a mop and clean my cell when I go play ball. When I come back, I better not find a hair in that fucking cell. That's what he's going to get. You think they give a shit about him? Oh, he's so tough. They couldn't even stop him. He was so brutal. See if they could do that in prison. See if they'll stop you. See if they'll shut you up. There's a lot of mafias in prison. Italian mafia, Mexican mafia. Pull it off. Do it. Go in there. Cartels. Go ahead. See what happens. Bro.
Child welfare come in here in 30 minutes. That's on y'all. My kid's downstairs.
Then you got the Kid Curry. You know who that is. A rapper. His Porsche goes up in flames. Molotov cocktail style.
Kid Cudi said Diddy was like a Marvel supervillain. He got on the stand and told a wild story. December 2011, 5:30 in the morning, Cassie, who he's secretly dating, calls him and says, Diddy has found out about us. I'm freaked out. Come pick me up. He gets in the Porsche, picks her up, takes her to a hotel. When he gets to the hotel, his assistant calls. Diddy is in your house. He forced his way in. So Cudi's driving back to his house in the...
This is another reason why they were scared. People were scared of Diddy. He had all his power. He had his lieutenants. He had his security entourage do stuff. I mean, shout out to Prince for actually helping Cassie or Mia. I forgot which one. I think it was Cassie. I believe it was Cassie. You know, rest in peace. You know, Prince. You know, his security team kept Diddy's team and Diddy away from Cassie. And some people are saying, you know, P-Diidy killed Prince. Never heard that or anything. But anyways, you know, shout out and bless him and his team for keeping that, you know, psycho away from her for that little amount of time.
Hollywood Hills, and he calls Diddy and he's like, motherfucker, are you in my house? And Puff says, I am here waiting for you. Like eerie calm, super calm, super villain calm. But while Cudi is driving back, Diddy unwraps Christmas presents that Cudi had for his family and locks his dog in the bathroom, traumatizing the dog.
Get my dog Lily out of here. She could hear this stuff. Is Lily? Where's Lily? She's away from me. Yeah.
No wonder Kid Cudi started frequently wearing skirts after his Porsche was set on fire. Diddy once made 3 shocking demands of him. When Kid Cudi often showed up on red carpets and fashion events in skirts, many just thought it was another avant-garde move from the eccentric genius. However, the real reason behind it is far more chilling than you might imagine. Back in 2021, Kid Cudi had a brief relationship with Cassie Ventura, but this happened after she broke up with P. Diddy. At that time, Cassie Ventura was still involved in activities with P. Diddy, including wild freak-off parties. Shortly after, Cudi's Porsche was mysteriously set on fire in his driveway, seemingly as a warning. It said that P. Diddy was furious about the relationship, and soon after, Kid Cudi received a clear warning from Diddy's camp. First, he must wear skirts at any public appearance. Second, cut off all private and public contact with Cassie. Third, stay silent about all of this forever. If he didn't follow these demands, the consequences would be far worse than just losing a car. Moreover, P. Diddy even contacted Cassie Ventura's mother and threatened her about Cassie's relationship with Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi knew very well that Diddy's influence was too powerful for him to challenge at that moment. To protect himself, he had no choice but to silently comply. But now, the time has come to expose everything, and Kid Cudi has bravely stepped forward. Do you support his...
him having Cuddy dress up like that is something definitely Diddy would do. He would do that. He would make him do that. He got off on that shit. So did others in his inner circle. You know, that's what absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And he just... I talk about a sexual psychopath. That's what Diddy is.
His decision?
I see him wearing white dresses. I think I had a skirt like that once myself, but it's fucking it's fucking crazy. I'm goofing. I didn't have a dress like that, but I never seen anything like this in my life.
Okay.
You know, people calling it the trial of the century, and it's disgraceful.
Well, there's more to come.
And it's disgraceful to every single person in the United States. I don't know where you would find this, in what kind of country. I don't think you get the worst countries in the world. You won't find this. I will tell you, you know, I know the Muslim countries argue, fight, they bomb, they do a lot of crazy shit. Diddy wouldn't last 2 seconds in a Muslim country. They would have killed him so fucking fast his head would have spun. He's a disgrace to the whole country. Imagine people in other countries listening to it like we're listening to it, talking about it like we're talking about it. Could you even imagine what they're saying about America? That's America. That's the land of the free. That's where we want to go live? Fuck no.
There's the land of the free gods.
They're not saying that. It really is a disgrace to the whole country.
I just stepped out of court, and TMZ is reporting that Cassie may be in labor. This is following explosive testimony from Diddy's former employee, Capricorn Clark, who also used to work closely with Cassie. Capricorn crying on the stand this morning as she recalled being kidnapped by Diddy's associates. She says she was holed up in the 6th floor of a building that was under construction for 5 days, accused of stealing some jewelry and forced to take lie detector tests. And at one point was threatened that if she failed, she would be thrown into the East River. Capricorn also detailed her account of what happened the day Kid Cudi's house was broken into back in December of 2011. She says early in the morning the day of the break-in, a frantic and angry Diddy starts banging on her door, waving a gun. She says he had just discovered that Cassie was dating Kid Cudi and asked her, "Who is Scott?" She testified that he told her to get dressed and said, "I'm gonna kill this." At some point on the way, she calls Cassie on her burner phone and warns her. And that's when Kid Cudi discovers that Diddy's at his house, allegedly. Now, it's here that her testimony differs a little bit from Kid Cudi, because she says that when Kid Cudi pulled up to his house, they spotted him and he drove away, and they started chasing him up the Hollywood Hills. They lost track of him but saw the police, and she says that's when Diddy all of a sudden calmed down, like the police had an effect on him. I'll further break down her testimony in a later post, but I also wanted to touch on cross-examination, because one thing that really jumped out to me that Mark Flo zeroed in on that I think is really important to the defense's case is this notion that Diddy didn't kill Cassie's career, that Cassie killed Cassie's career because she's not talented.
One time my pinky ring was missing, and I did get all the girls who were working for me and made them take lie detector tests, and really nothing happened because I realized I left it in my pants pocket. So it wasn't the girls. I'm just joking now because I really don't know what to say about these names. And where do they get these names? Kid Cudi, Kapapupo. Where do they get all these fucking kind of names? Stage names, rapper names. When you're born, I can picture I was born and the first words I hear out of my mouth, Gula Gula.
What?
I told my mother, is that me? You calling me Gula Gula? What the fuck is that? I would never be called that. I wouldn't take it. So I don't know where they get these names from or anything else. If I'm going to keep watching this, give me a fucking cigar. I need a cigar.
Well, I know you're known for the parties. When you think of a party or a good time, you think of Puff. You do. But we've been known to party with you a few times.
And just when you think it couldn't get deeper, evidence starts disappearing. Fingerprint cards from 2011 gone. That ain't sloppy. That's a cleanup job.
Yeah, it is.
I finally got my cigar. What's next?
Court has adjourned today in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Today, the defense requested a mistrial following testimony from an LA arson investigator, but the judge denied the request. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
A mistrial request denied in the federal criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. His defense team accusing the government of prosecutorial misconduct during the testimony of a Los Angeles arson investigator who spoke about fingerprints that were lifted from the front door of rapper Kid Cudi's home as part of an investigation into a break-in there in 2011. The investigator testifying that those fingerprints were
and the reason why they try to throw it out is that you're not supposed to. That'd be a totally different trial, and I believe it's ongoing. And a partial, I mean, I don't believe in partials. I don't like that because, you know, if anything, you know, it could be a daughter, it could be a mother, so mother, brother, sister, or whatever, relative, that's a partial fingerprint DNA thing. And so this from cases that I know personally about from people about what a partial could be or whatever, or it could just be fabricated as well. It's an ongoing, and so you cannot put another investigation in with the current, you know, trial. You know, that's why it was all, thank God it wasn't, almost thrown out. It's because they did stupid by bringing that up. They shouldn't have done that. You're supposed to keep to one case that you're having a trial on. When you put others into there, you're also what they call contaminating. You're contaminating the jury, you're contaminating the case as well. It's supposed to be case by case, you know, basis. So that is terrible work by the U.S. District Attorney and how stupid that was.
And when prosecutors asked the investigator if that was unusual, the defense accused them of trying to plant the idea that Combs was responsible.
The overall implication, according to the defense, is that somehow Sean Combs created that disappearance. The defense moved for a mistrial, and they moved for it because what they said is it's unduly prejudiced, because this is the whole theory of what the prosecution is putting forth, is that he has this control and can make these investigations disappear.
Instead, the judge striking that part of the testimony, telling jurors to disregard it. Right before the jury heard from a police officer who...
Hold on, I need to turn this air up real quick.
Responded to that break-in, testifying that he saw a black Escalade leaving the scene with plates registered to Combs' company Bad Boy Productions. The arson investigator also testifying about another incident at Kid Cudi's home in 2012 when his Porsche was set on fire. He testified about the smoke and fire damage in these photos that were shown to the jury and said he determined the fire was targeted and started with a Molotov cocktail. Kid Cudi last week testified he believed Combs was responsible for both incidents after finding out he was dating Cassie Ventura.
I don't know any criminal in the world who doesn't cover up knowing he could leave fingerprints and cover it up and smudge it off, or wipe it off, or wear gloves.
Yeah.
So I think it's really unimportant. To make it a car and where it belonged, I guess, is more important. If you found my car in front of the place, even if my fingerprints weren't on it, I mean, what's the difference? You see the car, it's there. What's my car doing in front of the crime scene? So, I don't know if that has any bearing on it, one way or another.
Official government photos of Diddy's hotel room when he was arrested in 2024 have been released. Let's start with the pill bottle, which is clearly not in Sean Combs' name and is in Frank Black's name. If you remember, Cassie repeatedly said that Diddy used
depression and other, depression, like anxiety stuff like that. It's a psychotropic medication Frank Black.
Use the name Frank Black to book hotels and to get things for the freak-offs. In the nightstand, they found this bottle of pills with
and you're not supposed to just get psychotropic drugs and stuff like that. That has to be from a psychiatrist, supposed to. This is the problem with celebrities and the power money can do with corruption and everything. You can just get all these special medications and drugs and stuff like that.
pink bags full of a pink substance. And of course, you know that he had his baby oil, which has been a hot topic throughout the case. Plus, he had some in the bathroom. There's a look of the hotel room when you walked in. Prosecutors just released these images today in court. There was also a hard drive of files that they found inside of the hotel room. Who the hell knows what is on that hard drive? He had these lights set up in the hotel room. There was a bag of cash with about $9,000 estimated in it. This baby oil was found in the tub when the bathroom was raided and when the hotel room was raided. And then we have more pills in the second drawer that was on the other side of the bed. And they found a fanny pack hanging from the side of the bed. What do you guys think?
So he had $9,000 in a place. The guy's worth a couple $100
That's
million
just that one right
dollars.
there.
$9,000 is chump change for him, or for anyone around there. Even some guy who knows him, who had the car that was set on fire. He's got a Mercedes-Benz convertible. I mean, they all have money. So the money, I don't think means anything. A fanny bag hanging over the thing. I don't think that means anything either. I think the damaging part is that he's got pills. Why don't they go back to where the place they bought it, a pharmacist, and go back and say how many things were bought under this name, Frank? Who's the doctor who prescribed these things, and what is it? So those are the things that are important. Was it prescribed 100 times a day?
They have to. They have to do separate investigation on those doctors, which is not going to be, in this case, they'll be a total different case. The doctors have to be disbarred from being able to prescribe. Those should be with bunches of felony counts, hundreds of felony counts. Depending on how many people that one doctor did that illegally for, including the distributors. If they have a case on that, obviously they're going to give the distributors some immunity or cut down sentence, and then go after the person that okayed, for mass distribution of this. But
1,000 times, I would imagine. If it was Walgreens or something like that, and there's pharmacists there to go, they never started to question who the hell this guy is?
Yeah.
And how many times you're going to get these pills? I know regular pills.
Why weren't they red flagged by the DEA? Because they go over, Viking, they go out over all these painkillers. It's only a certain amount that these pharmacies and doctors could put out with painkillers. There's a certain amount, they cut it off for that area, where they can't have any more for a certain area. And most people don't know that, but I've been around, pharmacies and stuff like that. But, there's only a certain amount they can put out. So they have to have some real big people on the inside just letting this floodgates open with all these pills.
Pills, sometimes they'll question, your doctor has to prescribe it or this or that. So all of those questions I think are important, and it shows, I guess now I'm starting to understand where the RICO part is coming in. They're trying to show this pattern of somebody doing something all the time. It's not just P-Diidy. It's guys working for him. And that develops what you would call an enterprise, a structure.
There's a lot of reasons.
Where different people. I'm going to give you an example. I'm running this company, me, Sammy the Bull. My son comes in, Megan comes in, Sterling, Amina, all kinds of people. Now, if they're out committing crimes and this and that and the other thing is always leading back to me, that's a criminal enterprise. I'm formed a criminal enterprise.
It is, yeah.
Their crimes come back to me. I'm ordering them. In other words, when Paul Castellano had his home.
Paul Castellano, oh my God, I don't know why they, Jesus Christ. That's, Paul Castellano's a different story. But, God, I could go into Paul Castellano. But, anyways, they have also Rico, also, so they could get the underlings to go and say, hey, go after the big fish. And say, hey, we'll get you cut down sentences, but we want the big fish. You know, if you give us all the dirty laundry on your boss, we'll, you know, cut down on your sentences, your misdemeanors, felonies, stuff like that, or else you'll get off scot-free, like what happened with him. You know, Gotti, of course, you know, he threw him under the bus and everything else and made him look out like he's the one giving the orders. It's Gotti that did it. And it's like, you know, and the guy was, you know, like he's about to take him out, so he went after Gotti, and he got, you know, only a certain amount of time with that, and then he was out.
It was his home where his wife and his kids lived, but he held business in that home. So that home and the criminal activity becomes the headquarters. When I got arrested in Arizona on my ecstasy case, they took our homes, my home, my son's home, other people's homes. We did a show about it. And some of that stuff was taken under the RICO Act. I had a book that had nothing to do with anything. They took that money because of the fact that I used that money, even though it's legitimate money, to create a drug enterprise. So this is where the RICO law goes into all these nooks and crannies and grabs things that has nothing to do with anything. So this is where, going back to my statement, that it's a money thing, partially, for them. And that's where they're going with the thing. It starts to look like to me. And so, yes, it'll go back to his label. It'll go back. He's used that. That's where he made them meet. That's where he can promise them things. You know, I can get you into the music business. I can get your daughter in here. I can get your son in there, and I can do this. And he has a lot of them.
No payment.
Have guilt.
Withholding payment.
Did what he wanted them to do, so they could have things happen, and that's where you say it's consensual. It is consensual.
It was his forced. So yeah.
He's using bribery or threats, because in his case, not only bribery by giving them money and giving them positions and making them earn, but it threats as well. So he's got a combination of different things that he used. And some of them, giving a woman money for sex is not illegal, I don't think. But when you're using it this way in the RICO, it becomes illegal. So I guess that's where the government is going, and they, step by step by step. They're taking little steps. The woman said, God knows what's on the recording. What do you mean God knows what's on? You got the recording. Play it. Maybe it's damaging, maybe it's not damaging. Maybe the court will let it in or not let it in. If the jury didn't hear it, then it don't mean anything to the jury. The fanny pack, I mean, some of the girls come in with a fanny pack. My son once in a while has a little fanny pack, you call that, I guess that's what you call it, on his shoulder. And he's got his phone and he's got other things in it. It's nothing illegal about it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think what I'm starting to catch is the drift of how they're going to explain the RICO indictment at the end. At the end, they'll put it all in context so you could understand the RICO law and you could understand this criminal enterprise. I guess that's what their motive is.
Well, I know he poisoned Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx reported him to the FBI because of it. You remember that video, right? The one with the bodyguard where he talks about Diddy and how he tried to poison Jamie Foxx. And then the bodyguard alleges that Jamie Foxx went straight to the feds to report Diddy to the FBI. When someone passes away with cyanide in their body, it looks like they passed away from pneumonia. And there's two people that are close to Diddy that passed away from pneumonia. The first one being Brittany Murphy. At the time, Brittany Murphy was dating Ashton Kutcher, who's also a really good friend of Diddy's. Here's an image of them hanging out at a ball game. And these guys, if you look into it, they're pretty close, like really, really close. The rabbit hole goes pretty deep with Ashton Kutcher and Diddy, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Kim Porter also died from pneumonia, and she was dating Diddy. Now, the thing that gets me, when Brittany Murphy passed, her father wanted to do his own toxicology report, so he commissioned one. And when it came back, strands of her hair had traces of metal in it. And that's synonymous with poison. And she died from pneumonia. The same way Kim Porter died from pneumonia. And on top of that, her husband also died 6 months after from pneumonia. Not accusing anyone of anything, but according to the bodyguard who's whistleblowing and now exposing the fact that Diddy wanted to poison Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx was in the hospital, things are, people are starting to ask questions.
Jamie Foxx it did happen or whatever, so I mean, if Jamie Foxx comes back and he says different, then I don't know. That's up in the air about Jamie Foxx.
So I wanted to ask you guys in the comments, what do you think is going on, and have you found out anything?
If one person died of pneumonia, it's not a big deal. 2 people,
the pneumonia
3
thing
people,
is
it starts to become
over
a big
cycle.
It's a pattern. Things could happen back to back. I mean, if they had a bodyguard or somebody in that enterprise, that criminal enterprise, who said, that's exactly what we did, then he's dead. Put those out so people could die, then he's dead. More on now murders and everything else. Now, if it's a coincidence, one thing, if I get fucking pneumonia again, please do me a favor, Gerard, take me to the fucking hospital right away. Because this seems to be a killer, this pneumonia.
Seems to be
now,
a
I don't want to
pattern
laugh or
of
make a
people
joke out of
getting
it,
this
but
pneumonia.
I mean, like I said, I could see the way they're building the case, and when you watch, when they do the closing arguments at the end, they're going to present the enterprise to make the people understand what the RICO is and what the enterprise is, and all of those facts that they heard fits in. Now, 1 or 2 might not fit in. 1 of those women or 2 of those women were consensual, but you can't ignore everything else. So I think he's headed for a lot of trouble. And the more I hear this, the more I think about my friend Anthony Rico, who's a lawyer, represented me, good friend of mine, honest guy, good guy. When he heard this shit, I'm sure this is why he pulled away. He didn't want no part of it.
Is anybody hungry? I just feel like everybody's got to be hungry right now. Good. I was hoping you'd say that, because I have this crazy idea that I will order pizza. And so if I do, I don't want it to go to waste. Who will eat pizza?
I'm going to need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Okay. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah. Did Jay reach out yet? Nah, Bob. He ghosting.
Justin Bieber, there's a lot of crimes that happen with that poor boy.
We've known each other for years. Yeah. You've been to my house. We've had pizza. Girl after my own heart. Do we love a pizza or what? We love a pizza. We do. It's so good. So.
Aniston will say to me in the middle of the night, whenever I'm with her, something cool. She'll be like, "You see?" And I'll be like, "No, you're right. This is great. This is great." He'll text me and say, "I know something. Wednesday night if you want." I'll be like, "Come on, we just did that Saturday thing."
She's busy all the time. I know. She's the greatest host.
Parties are incredible at her house too.
Yeah, she does have good parties, and she makes good pizza as well.
She makes great pizza.
Wonderful pizza.
You told a story about going and having pizza at the Clooney's in Lake Como.
Yeah, that's all in Aniston.
Like, George and I would love you to come over for pizza.
Pizza, why does it seem like it's sex and not pizza, just sex? Great sex party or something, I don't know. I mean, that's recycle, those pizza boxes and plastic. I mean, when P-Diidy says that means usually get rid of the evidence, is what I'm thinking. He's using code for, pizza boxes and the plastic, get rid of that, get rid of the evidence, is what he's saying in code, from what it sounds like. I mean, I know it's...
How was the pizza? Was it good? What, he make it himself? Mom's pizza was better than Clooney's. They both made, everybody made a certain kind of pizza.
There's no pizza we didn't love.
Something that he does. 5 different kinds or 6 different kinds of pizza that night. Clooney's was excellent.
It sounds like a code.
I know, I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds
I've heard this thing with pizza, not only in this case, but in multiple things. Oprah Winfrey used it many, many times. There's a lot of people who use that term. Get rid of the pizza, get the small pizzas, get the small things, and then all of a sudden there was things about child molestation and all these things.
Right.
So I think they all kind of used that as some sort of a gimmick, that they understood it themselves. I'm going to have 2 small pizza pies there. I don't ever remember. I mean, I did remember I talked to my son, what do you want to eat? Pizza? You want this or that? It's just a common thing. Bring over 2 small pizzas and we can really enjoy this meal. This is so hot. I mean, I think if my son told me that on the phone, I would be like, what? What are you talking about? So but they understood it.
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe this talk about pizza, but it didn't sound like P-Diidy was. It sounded like code. That sounded like code. P-Diidy and stuff. And so I mean,
when they're talking to them, they return the call. They're never arguing about what are you talking about? And then they make an excuse. Oh yeah, we all made pizzas. And we all made different kinds of pizzas. So we always talk about pizzas. I think they're all full of shit. Yeah, ask the question.
Yeah.
And you can't be that close to somebody like him and not have a clue what's going on. That's like when we were in the Mafia, somebody could say, I sat next to John Gotti every day, and I didn't know anything that was going on. I mean, it's literally impossible. We used code words, not like that. We were going to kill this guy, Louis DeBono. He was a fat guy. So we called him Jelly Belly. We never called him Louis DeBono. We know there's bugs. These people know the same thing. So we would say, did you have anything going on with Jelly Belly? There was times when after I cooperated, the government would say, what's this mean? What did that mean? Or what's this mean? Why? They started to hear it consistently. It's not a normal thing. Who's Jelly Belly? What is that? Is it
consistently usually means that there's about to be a hit or something.
You're using it at a weird time. The same thing with these pizza things.
Right,
it may be like they want to come over and have a drink. They're not saying, listen, I got a bottle of wine, that's great. A bottle of Dewar's, some whiskey, we can, have a drink together. Vodka. It's pizzas. I wouldn't get all excited with my wife or my girlfriend to go over somebody's house to enjoy a pizza. Wouldn't be like a big celebration. All right, they're going to have pizza there or whatever. Or maybe some other food. I have pizza all the time. I don't even want pizza. When it's used like this in such a capacity, it sounds like a code to me.
Yeah,
and I'm sure the FBI is looking at it like that. They have their analysts. They know. I remember there was some drug dealers in our family, and a guy owned a pizzeria. Now, heroin was taken from Italy into Spain, I think it was, or France or someplace, and they smuggled it into the country in deliveries in cans of sauce and whatever. into the United States, and it went to this pizza store. So nobody ever really challenged it. So the guy gets caught on the phone, and he's saying, wow, I need another 10 boxes. That was the best sauce I ever ate.
Sauce too.
And the other guy says, you just got it 3 days ago. 10 crates of sauce. In a couple of days, you went through it. So they started to say, well, wait a minute, this is not making sense. Now they're talking about pizza sauce. But after a while, you could see it was a code.
Yeah.
And that's how these guys got busted with that. Now they went to that pizzeria and watched it very carefully. And when they got an order in, they brought special things to look right into the can. There's a bag in there. Now they opened the can. Inside there was sauce, but a plastic bag of heroin. And they were all dead. So this is the same thing. The FBI knows when you're doing these. Now, every person don't realize it or know it. They'll hear, no, they were eating pizza, they were having fun. But it does make sense to the FBI. They have analysis people, and it makes sense to me. So I'm sure that when they really explain it and you start to become aware of it, you're starting to say to yourself, even as a juror, wait a minute, this pizza thing is just, don't fit. I eat pizza. Everybody does. Everybody loves it. Everybody like I said, my son will call me up. What are you doing tonight? Nothing. You want me to, I'll pick up a pie and we'll come over? I'll come over? That's normal. Sometimes I say, nah, I got pizza coming out of my ears. I don't want that or whatever. Maybe we can go eat something.
Yeah, you're saying pizza
it's a normal conversation.
Well, you have to say pizza.
You could tell when it's excessive.
Different kinds of pizza.
It's not even making sense.
Yeah.
I'm all excited. Oh, well, he's going to come over with pizza. He's coming over with drugs.
Let's see here.
Our parties, things like that. And it's not bad. I don't give a shit if 10 people had a freak out party and they were men and women and they were all consensual. It wouldn't bother me in the least. Do it. And maybe the guy will give her a pass or make her make money. But this was insane.
Yeah, I mean, sex parties, I don't care about the drugs. It's the coercion. It's the rape. It's the abuse. Minors, kids and stuff like that. Kidnapping, rapes, and refusing to give payment. Get kidnapping and all this other stuff happening. Abuse, all that stuff goes into RICO and everything. Even, having paying law enforcement, cops and law enforcement, to give information and stuff like that about where a person is. And his detail doing that as well. People he knows doing that.
Insanity. This was beyond people weren't willing. They didn't want to do that. They got trapped. This is what's making it a criminal enterprise. What he did, his so-called temper, beating people up, threatening people, and possibly now with these things, possibly, I'm not going to say it is, killing them.
Yeah.
And that's no different than the mob. When you did something with the mob and they wanted to get rid of you, they got rid of you.
Yeah,
we used a different tactic. We'd shoot you in the head. This guy's not doing that. He's using drugs or he's using whatever.
Stay up till?
I stay up till like maybe 6 in the morning. I'm back up at like 10:30, 11.
6 in the morning? What do you do every night till 6 in the morning? You don't go to clubs every night.
No, I make love a lot. And,
He's sick.
That's
Ella,
my favorite answer ever.
That's the G-rated
I told you when I
version.
came on the show I was going to be completely honest and expose myself to the world. Parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more. But we ain't gonna stop. We gonna keep on having fun, bringing people together from all walks of life. You gonna hear about my party. They're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time. You know, whenever you bring up a different element into people's environment, things that broaden people's horizon, people get intimidated. There's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it. It ain't nothing but break it down racial barriers, break it down generation barriers.
Bro, stick the racial card up in your ass, bro. That's not what it is. That's not what it's about. What you did have nothing to do with race. Your race of people don't do what you did. So don't put them all in it. This is against black people. Yes, what you did is against black people. Not what anybody else did, what you did. So don't start talking about racial barriers and racial bullshit. It ain't gonna work. Not against your old people. Because they don't do that. They know the difference. And they all have wives and daughters and husbands and kids. They're not gonna like you, bro, just because you're black. That ain't gonna work. Not this time, bro. I don't know if there's people who are his boss. Do I think that there's people who are heavyweights that are involved? Obama's name got thrown around all over the place. Michelle. Yeah, they talk about her. Is her name Michelle or is it Michael? Who the fuck knows? When they are doing things to this extreme, who knows anymore? Comedian made a joke. They said, will there ever be a gay president? And she said, Joan Rivers. She says, come on. We all know that Michelle is a guy.
Do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just...
It breaks my heart that I got out. I did a lot of time. There's guys in there, black guys, Hispanic guys, 20 years. There's mafiosos getting out now after 30 years. Yeah. And they didn't commit what these people did. I mean, they may have had a murderer or two, but when you have murders of thousands and tens of thousands, maybe millions of people you're responsible for, or fucking up millions of...
The thing is with the mob and stuff like that is that they pretty much just kill their own. I mean, innocent people, they break, legs, stuff like that. It's ridiculous and BS and stuff like that. But it came to killing others, usually there's other people in the mob or whatever. So,
of lives, and you didn't even do a day. Where's the comparison? Where's what's right and what's wrong? I think we lost that in this country, and I think now people may not like this, but the only thing that's going to save us is Trump. They're breaking his ass.
I don't believe that. Let me see. I'm going to get to Tisa Tells here. And, don't do that with your penile thing. How nice. Let me see. Let me see. If I can spell it right. That was yesterday, but
okay, listen, it's the new me, new day, got time. What on the cross when they were like, well, why is this and why is this and why is this and why you said this and that? A lot of the men were shaking their head. A lot of the men had on the jury had their
all right. This is it right here.
On the jury had their eye cocked. Just Mia, even Dave's. But if the
I'll give you something to drink. Hold on. want to go over this because it's going out. She's gonna. This is what I heard yesterday about some stupid ass people on the jury laughing about me and stuff like that, about the PR. And I've been around PR. I've helped some celebrities take down fake sites, stuff like that, including some adult stars that I've known and stuff like that. And so I know about some people called her a fake, Mia a fake, and because Instagram still, Brian Still, I believe, piece of shit. But he's a good lawyer. He's supposed to do it. The defense team was not doing that well until Brian Steele brought up those Instagram pictures. And if you're in PR, it doesn't matter if you have a shitty time with the person you're representing. You're not going to put on those bad pictures and say this stuff happened to me. No, you want that job and stuff like that. A lot of people go through bad stuff with people all the time. Their job as a PR, doing public relations and building up their clients, or their boss, is to put happy pictures of themselves up there.
Defense has a great day. We all have to talk about it too. Let me talk about
Shout out
them
Tisa
Atlanta
Tales.
people. Brian Still, Xavier, Miss Westmoreland.
Yes!
They are a problem. This is not my, listen, in a perfect world, he would have Mark Agnifilo up there every day. I don't know if Mark Agnifilo is a great lawyer with other stuff. I know that with Diddy, he'd be missing the jury. However, Brian Still, Westmoreland, and Xavier, baby, they are too good. Every time they're up there, I'll be looking like, I hope they sit down. They are too good at what they do. They're too good at instilling doubt in the jury's mind. And I hope to God they don't have to cross-examine anybody else. Arlene, Texas 444, thank you for gifting the membership. When I tell you, Brian Still, Mia, let me just say by saying this. I believe everything Mia's saying. There was too much detail and it corroborated too many stories. But Brian's still on the ones and twos, ripping Mia apart on the cross-examination. Yeah, it's not going good for her. I don't know why Mia just doesn't say, I was a victim of abuse. He had money. I wasn't going to go against him. Instead, she is struggling to explain why a man she said that she was terrified of, she was posting happy birthdays and bragging about being Diddy's assistant, even though she said that every time she was around, she felt terrified and throwing the phone. I'll tell you one thing that was said. LF, what's that? Sorry, there is spiderweb. LF, thank you so much for the super chat or set right here. Also, Miss Caroline said, girl, we were worried. Glad you're well and doing your thing. We admire your dedication and hard work. Yeah, I got to the courthouse a little late. And once you get to the courthouse, when you stand in line, they make you turn your phone off. But don't worry, I'm going to be on time tomorrow. Potent Pondering said, we missed you this morning. I missed you guys too. Also, the sugar case, Diddy working. Stacy Brown, thank you so much. Y'all, so much was revealed. Let's get into this testimony with Mia. She let so much out. Listen, first of all, just to let you guys know, they were arguing this morning saying that they're trying to see if they can stay with Diddy till 10 p.m. every night. And I'm sure Diddy don't want to go back to his jail cell eating some hocked up oodles and noodles. Now, interesting enough, the judge was like, okay, I looked into
That depends. Let me tell you, when I was in court and stuff like that, anybody can tell you, obviously she hasn't been in jail or prison or whatever, but you spend so much time in the courtroom, you just want to go back to your jail cell and get your food and just lie there. You don't. Court is the worst thing. Waiting to go into court and all that stuff, that's hell.
To it, but the MDVC told me that you had 300 minutes and you've only used 47. Diddy was sitting in trial because he said the thing. This is changed. Diddy was sitting in trial and was like, no, I haven't. Talking like he's 3 years old. Diddy, stop. We already know that you are Count Dracula, or the way he be looking at court, Count Chocula. Stop
I
with
knew
this
she
fire
was
boy
going to say
act.
that. I knew she was going to say that.
No, I had not. I don't have 47 minutes. I literally rolled my eyes so hard, right? But Diddy really went in there and said that he only had 47 minutes. No, that he only didn't have any minutes. The MDC said this fool got only used 47 minutes. The Judge Aaron was like, all right, I'm going to have to work this out and actually see who's lying. Because why? Somebody is 100% lying, okay? Right. Then they said that they don't have a way to communicate with Diddy. Again, the judge was like, how? If you got 300 minutes and you only used 47, who is lying? He said he's going to look into it. Mark Agnifilo kept saying thank you. Mark Agnifilo wants like the wheels to come off because the judge was like, listen, for people in Diddy's case, because don't forget you got that way because you were doing weird stuff with the witnesses and the government said that and the judge clearly believed you. Also, Bayala said, thank you, Tisa, you're the best. Thank you. BJ Kenner said, the best has arrived. Thanks for the tea. You're welcome. And the Hood Rilla said, shout out to Gene Dill for knocking out trolls. What is Uncle Gene up to? Shout out to Uncle Gene also, but what is he up to? Who's he knocking out? Roll my eyes like Mark's knock it off, right? Faithfully 73, thank you so much. President, praying for you. Is there going to be this detail later on live? But they wanted some summary charts. The interesting thing is, Brian still did a big one. He said, well, Your Honor, we have these binders. And you know, there's so much time with like letting information out. We have these binders. And is there any way with these binders that we can actually, you know, just get them admitted into evidence early so then it's good for the jury? Judge Aaron was like, you know what, that's a good idea. However, those binders were a problem because I feel like they're giving the jury, it really undercut Mia's testimony. You know what I'm saying? Also, Melly said, always appreciating you and your content. Thank you so much for the super chat, Melly. And also, Latrice Hopkins said, yes, Barbie doll, Diddy did it from the back. But you, Tisa, tell her you did it for the front line. Thank y'all. Also, Tricia C, thank you so much for the super chat. Big Mama said, oh my goodness, I've been sending station at City Hall with a search party. Thank y'all so much. Also, D Princess said, as the victim who the feds found through a SMEX tape testifying, he made musician for entertainment said, thank you for your amazing work. Thank you. All right, we're about to get into this. Natalie.
Get into it.
She painted a picture how terrified she was with Diddy. Now, Mia's testimony, very good. I 100% believed her. All right, Sherry Reddy said, great job, Tisa. You're a class act, beauty and brains. Love you, sister. Thank you. And Rosie J, thank you. And Trisha H, thank you. Okay, but the issue was, Brian still went through Mia's IG account. Yes. And he kept saying, do you remember November 4th? And she was like, why would I remember November 4th? And she's like, the day of November 4th. And she was like, okay. And she's like, what do you remember November 4th for? And she's like, that's Diddy's birthday. And he was like, it's Diddy's birthday? That's funny. Because you said that was the first time you were essayed by Diddy. And you said it was seared in your head. Did you not? And you said it's one of the things you will never forget. So can you explain to me why when I say November 4th, you don't say Diddy raped me, right? And Mia was taken aback. But again, if she had a moment to think, and this is why Brian still had her on the ones and twos, if she had a moment to think, she would have been like, first of all, I blocked it out. Second of all, I don't think about that. Third of all, if you know anything about SA, Yeah,
I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences, and me, you know, violence and stuff like that, you're to block that shit out or erase it. There's all stuff that I've been through, and I've just erased that from my memory. So this dumbass he's doing his job. You know, before he wasn't, people were saying that they're terrible defense. Yesterday, he came in, he obliterated and stuff like that. So he's getting his, you know, money's earning his money, his keep and stuff like that. But, when it has to do with traumatic experiences, you know, I've been through plenty. Your mind erases a lot of that.
Then he started showing like 20 pictures in a binder of Mia being like my brother, my mentor, my this, my that. And he kept saying, so this is your personal Instagram? And she was like, yeah. And you were saying how much you loved him? Yeah. And this was your personal Instagram? Now listen, we all know, because we know how SA is. one, Diddy was the most powerful man in the music industry, at one of the most powerful men at that time, right? Two, we also know, right? Two, we also know that Mia, even though she was his personal assistant, whenever she didn't do anything that Diddy wanted her to do, he would get like knuck in a buck. And we're going to talk about her terror she was chased around. But honestly, and this is the third part that we really need to get into, okay? Even though it's her private account, there would have been issues. And you know how it is when you work in the celebrity field. If she was not shouting her boss out, if she was not saying, what's up to Diddy, all this good stuff,
Like I said, it's your job. You have to give them shout outs. You have to make them look good if you're going through shit. That's your job. That's what you get paid to do. And what these jurors, these dumbass jurors were doing, even laughing about, where they're thinking that maybe, she's lying. Those are dumbass jurors. She's going to talk about and stuff. That's your job. To make your boss look good, the person that you represent look good. If they're a piece of shit, that's what you're getting paid for. That's what she's getting paid to do.
There would have been serious big issues. So the fact that she was posting on her public account, happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend, it's literally to be expected. It's to be accounted for. Do you feel what I'm saying? Y'all feel what I'm saying? So there was an explanation, but Brian still was hitting her with the hoo-ha, hee-ha-ha. She literally, he was literally hitting her so hard that she couldn't even think. However, I think she's going to come back. Hey, D. Smith, thank you so much for the cash app. I think she's going to come back better and harder than ever after she comes back. But he was getting her. Nat feeling PR said, Tisa, it's good to see you. I was a little worried. I know y'all right. D. Princess says, Mia's testimony is to prove. Yeah, we already read that. Okay. Sunkissed Potato. Okay, Sherry Reddy said, great job. Oh, yep, I read that too. Thank you, Trisha. I'm just getting to the super chats or commercial break. Sandy Stanton, thank you so much for gifting a membership. George Jansen, thank you so much for the.
I need to really fast forward this. I'm not going to be listening. I just want to get
not payment, all that stuff. So I said, wow, Diddy is just amazing. Amazing. It says, I created a Diddy testimony timeline, where to send. tisatells@gmail.com. Okay, thank y'all so much for the super chat, all right? Okay, so where are we at? So anyway, they said that she was in Cape Town, South Africa. Oh, Black Anonymous said no regular employer could get away with this mess. Diddy got away with it. He would have been fired and the company was sued. Get this. Oh, this is another way they almost got her. Everybody was buying Mia's stuff and she's very credible. And all of a sudden they're like, did you ever approach Diddy after you were falsely let go? And she said, yeah. And they said, what did your lawyer ask for? And she was like, I believe, well, you know Mia, she's sitting on that stand looking like Professor Snape, right? Just traumatized, her hair on her face, right? And she's like, and she looks down and she was like, hold on.
That is her slow seat. What did happen?
And she be looking down, so she was like, my lawyer asked for $10 million. Now when she said that, I said, girl, but then I said, you know what, get that money. She said that the lawyer asked for $10 million. And the funny thing is, the one bald head guy on the first thing of the jury, because it's jury 1, 2, and 3. I believe the black row is alternates, but the first and second are the jurors. There's a lady in the second. I don't know if she's a problem, but there's a guy in the first row. He literally cocked his eyebrow like, 10 million. And I said, oh, you better get that money. But then she told us that when they actually settled, she only got $200,000. And that was for overtime, not payment, all that stuff. So I said, wow, Diddy is just amazing. Amazingly bad, right? So anyway, she said they were in Cape Town shooting a movie, right? And Cassie was really upset because she felt like Diddy had humiliated her. Why is that? Because Diddy got caught cheating on Cassie with a thing of Gina. I find it odd that everybody was talking about Cassie being a hoe for what she did to Alex, which is all lies anyway. Cassie being a hoe for what she did talking to Michael B. Jordan. Though nobody got ish to say about Diddy being the biggest ho out there, and he was cheating on Cassie the whole time. Again, I don't know where y'all live, but where I live, if you are cheating, whether or not the person finds out, you do no longer have an exclusive relationship, and no, the other person doesn't have to inform you. When you decide to cheat, that's what we doing. We cheating, right? You can't be a hoe, have other hoes, and think that you're in a committed relationship, right? Anyway, you can't be cheated on. So anyway, she said that Gina was in a club with Diddy, and Gina popped up in that video. And you know Gina, I'm sure Gina did it on purpose, because I do remember back in the day, Cassie and Kim Porter would be taking shots at each other. So I'm sure like the video was going around, Gina was sitting there like rocking, and all of a sudden the thing panned around to Gina, and Gina was probably off to the side, right? And she just stepped into focus. Oh, what? Oh, sorry. And ran out. I know Gina let that one and let it hit. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Gina, because Gina been trying to land that man for, and it was early when Diddy was in the love bombing phase, okay? So anyway, they said Cassie caught Diddy cheating. Gina with Diddy in the club, right? Gina with Diddy in the club. Cassie was devastated. She said that they tried to get Cassie to talk to Diddy on the phone, but Cassie was like, no. They argued a little bit, but then Cassie was like, no, I'm not doing this. I can't get into this, right? And she said that Cassie stopped answering Diddy's phone calls, right? Diddy was in Miami, still cheating on her, right? And that KK tried to call.
One of the guys was trying to get Cassie to get back. Or was it Mia? Try to get them two back together. And only a piece of shit, that's bad. Yeah, is try to get Mia and Diddy together, I believe, and that's a piece of shit. Mia said, "Oh, I love him." Well, that piece of trash tried to get you two back together. That's what a piece of trash with the psychopathic, sexual,
Call Cassie. Then told Mia, "Can you get Cassie on the phone? Sorry, messenger, don't shoot me." Then she said she woke up, right? And to like literally 48 missed calls and a bunch of messages saying, Diddy just tried to call you. Call me first. He's in a spiral. Please call me. And she was like, I just woke up. It doesn't sound like Diddy's in his right mind. I'm going to rehearsals with Cassie. Because get this, Diddy had told Mia to fly down to South Africa to babysit Cassie. I think that he wanted Mia there for his eyes and ears to make sure Cassie wasn't getting too close, because you know how cheaters, the most jealous people in the world, are the biggest cheaters, right? Well, especially when it comes to men, right? So they were like, okay, they go down and they're just like, all right, so let me get into this. Let me go. Let me watch. Now get this. And this is how much control Diddy had over her. Do you know that when Mia flew down to South Africa to be with Cassie, do you know that Diddy made her pay for her own ticket? And then Diddy was like, yo, if you don't fly back right now, you getting fired, right? You getting fired. And then all of a sudden, she had to change her ticket and pay for all that herself. I said, Diddy was beyond cheap. How is a billionaire paying you $65K? How are they going to get fired? Hey, what's up? Melissa Esperanza, thank you so much for your super chat. Pretty Pink Progressive said, go girl, love your energy. Thank you. The International Madam, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, we got Opinionator said, do you think Diddy will turn on Jay-Z and Beyonce? I think that if Diddy had anybody to turn on, he would. I don't think he knows any of Jay-Z or Beyonce's tea. Also, Doug Mack said, I hope you're hiring. I almost lost my job waiting for you to come on. Oh, thank you. Pamela Sellers said, Tisa, you're doing an awesome, awesome job. Thank you so much, you guys. All right, so listen. Wait, hold on. Let me read this one more time. Also, Patrice Villa said, thank you, gonna take the phone. He literally said, I'm on the phone right now with AR. Mia was like, that was obvious a lie. They were like, how you know it's a lie? She's like, because it was 4:18 in the morning. So basically, Diddy was acting like a crackhead, calling somebody at 2 or 3, whatever he was on. What was he on? The Tucci? Whenever that Tucci hit, he was like a crazed man on the phone. Yeah. Just saying, I'm surprised he didn't say, I'm gonna blow up the world. Leslie, thank you so much for the super chat, right? They said it wasn't the first time that KK reached out on behalf of Diddy. Again, I know this sounds funny, but this is a RICO. This is a criminal conspiracy. Did it not say in the indictment that he used his money, power, and influence to direct high-ranking officials in order to conduct a RICO, which was sex trafficking, and to keep these victims close. Coelho R said, Rock Nation executive Desiree Perez is sued for RICO. Baby, Listen, we're going to talk about Rock Nation when I get home. Let me just get through this testimony. There is so much going on.
Please.
This is my Super Bowl, you guys. This is my Super Bowl. I can't wait. Okay, fine. Let me calm down, focus myself, and get to work. Anyway, KK kept calling, saying, "I'm sorry. Diddy wants to talk. He just called me again." Diddy was going crazy. Infernal Hulk 811.
That's Diddler. That's Boo Diddler. Yeah.
Huh? Oh, the family's leaving? Or they're coming back in? The Diddy's family's leaving or coming back in. Let's see if we can get a whole thing. Internal Hulk 8081 said, "Tisa, your play-by-play of the Diddy trial is top-notch journalism. You're intelligent. It's the only thing that surpasses your beauty. Do you think Gene Deal and Roger Bonds will testify? Stay blessed." Gene Deal will not testify because the prosecution said that they don't want people that have a big media presence testifying. Roger Bonds has been largely quiet. And I do believe that Roger Bonds is going to testify. And I think he's going to testify for the prosecution. Leslie, thank you so much for joining the family. And Tina coming and said, "You work in the hair. Please help Janice Combs with them wigs." You listen, let me tell y'all something. In real life, Janice Combs looks really, really beautiful. And that platinum suits her. Diddy's mom is a beautiful, beautiful woman. And that platinum suits her. I know on cameras it's like, oh, whatever. But you know I love when somebody got a number 27 or a 6'2", 6'13" wig.
I get cold.
I'll expose everything to Cassie. FABC and all the lawyers. So he was helping Mia get this pilot. Now here's the thing. A lot of people are like, that don't sound right, because why would Diddy miss money? Why would Diddy miss money? Do y'all remember what Diddy did to Danity Kane? Do y'all remember what he did to Day 6? Do you remember what they did to Dirty Money? Diddy has look what he did to have all the artists on Bad Boy. Diddy don't care. He will shut down a project in a minute because it's not about the money for him, it's about the control. So I 100% believe that when it came to whether or not he would axe a TV show, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, he didn't care about that TV show and he used it to dangle over Mia's head, right? All right. So he said FABC was supposed to be on ABC and all the lawyers. You have 2 minutes to call me, right? Or I'm going to F you up and let Cassie know what we did. Again, I said the comedy show sold to ABC. She was super exciting and threatening him threatening to take it away had her crying so bad she had snot coming out of her nose. Now, what does that tell you? Is this not the sex trafficking? Is this not the RICO? The shady Ha 89 said, "Where's Little Rob in all this? He's the one who really started the hype." He is, but again, people that did a lot of interviews, the feds decided not to interview because they didn't want the media circus that Diddy
where she's talking about this other junk I don't care about, where she's reading off, people's, with their pay or stuff like that. Let me see. Where is that?
Baby. Listen, we're going to talk about Rock Nation when I get home. Let me just get through this testimony. She said she was sending email after emails. She said, "I want to stay if you want me to, but if you don't, I want to go back. I just want to make sure Diddy's happy." She even forwarded, she said that she had to tiptoe around him, and she even forwarded all the emails to KK, and she begged KK for clarity to change the that. The point is, when I was sitting there, I was literally writing.
Anyways, all right, I've had enough because it goes into tippers. She's talking about tippers and just about that and all stuff I want to cover and everything Tisa tells. But talked about some of the jurors where they were laughing and about me laughing at me like what she was saying was a joke and everything, and how the defense seemed to have turned some of those jurors and stuff like that, and that's really, really fucked up. That's very, very bad, for those people, just real idiots and everything like that. So that is very worrisome. Hopefully these will change on Monday and stuff, but I just wanted to get that in there. Let's see. I'd have to go over some of this other stuff there. Wow. But anyways, everyone tell me what you think. Like, leave a comment. Hope you'll have a good morning, good night, wherever you are, and